Relations between Canada and India sink to a new low. This is Now You Know. I'm Rob Snow.
The top news stories
and conversations that matter to you.
This is Now You Know with Rob Snow on News Radio.
It was an extraordinary Thanksgiving Monday in Canadian politics. With most MPs out of Ottawa with the House of Commons off for a week, top-ranking RCMP officials, along with the most senior people in the Trudeau government, including the Prime Minister, held separate news conferences yesterday, alleging that agents with the government of India are linked to murders, extortions, and other violent criminal activity in this country. Prime Minister Trudeau said the government of India made a fundamental error.
It is obvious that the government of India made a fundamental error in thinking that they could engage in supporting criminal activity against Canadians here on Canadian soil, whether it be murders or extortion or other violent acts. It is absolutely unacceptable for any country, any democracy that upholds the rule of law. That is why we have taken such significant measures, why the RCMP chose to come out today and disrupt the pattern of Indian diplomats collecting through questionable and illegal means information on Canadian citizens that were then fed to criminal organizations that would then take violent actions from extortion to murder against Canadians.
As the Prime Minister said, the RCMP held its own news conference in Ottawa earlier in the day. The commissioner of the RCMP is Michael Dehem. He said the RCMP created a special team to investigate threats to Canadians being coordinated by agents of the government of India. The team was created in February of this year, and he says that team identified 4 very serious issues.
1, violent extremists impacting both countries. 2, links tying agents of the government of India to homicides and violent acts. 3, the use of organized crime to create perception of unsafe environment targeting the South Asian community in Canada. And the 4th, interference in democratic processes. Investigations have revealed that Indian diplomats and consular officials based in Canada leveraged their official position to engage in clandestine activities, such as collecting information for the government of India, either directly or through their agents, and other individuals who acted voluntarily or through coercion. Evidence also shows that a wide variety of entities in Canada and abroad have been used by agents of the government of India to collect information. Some of these individuals and businesses were coerced and threatened into working with the government of India. The information collected by the government of India is then used to target members of the South Asian community.
This has led to a major breakdown of diplomatic relations between Canada and India. The Canadian government expelled India's High Commissioner from Canada, along with 5 other diplomats. In response, the Indian government expelled 6 Canadian diplomats and summoned the Canadian Charge d'Affaires, Stuart Wheeler, to protest. Mr. Wheeler said Canada has clear proof of ties between agents of the government of India and the murder of a Canadian citizen.
The government of Canada has done what India has been asking for. Canada has provided credible, irrefutable evidence of ties between agents of the government of India and a murder of a Canadian citizen on Canadian soil. Now it is time for India to live up to what it said it would do and look into those allegations. It is in the interest of both our countries and the peoples of our countries to get to the bottom of this. Canada stands ready to cooperate with India.
The Indian government calls the Canadian allegations preposterous imputations driven by vote banking and the political agenda of Prime Minister Trudeau. It says Mr. Trudeau is smearing India for political gain, and it refutes any claim of irrefutable evidence, claiming the Canadian government has not shared any evidence with the government of India, quote, despite many requests. Back in Ottawa, Mr. Trudeau says India's actions amount to a violation of Canada's sovereignty.
No country, particularly not a democracy that upholds the rule of law, can accept this fundamental violation of its sovereignty. Canada fully accepts and respects the sovereignty and the territorial integrity of India. We expect India to do the same. In this case, they did not.
This is the latest escalation in tension between Canada and India. It's a relationship that has been under heavy strain, especially since Mr. Trudeau first accused Indian government officials of being involved in the killing of a Sikh leader, Hardeep Singh Nijjar. Since then, the Washington Post reported that a second killing is linked to the Indian government, that of Sukhdev Singh. He was shot in Winnipeg in September of 2023. Canada's Foreign Affairs Minister Melanie Joly says the Canadian government is having a difficult time getting any cooperation from the government of India.
When you look at what is available in our toolbox, expulsing diplomats is one of the highest and the toughest measure that a country can take under the Vienna Convention. For the rest, we'll continue to push India to make sure that they cooperate. We'll continue to engage with our Five Eyes partners. We'll continue to engage with also all our G7 partners, and everything is on the table.
Yesterday's statement from the government of India is blistering in its language about the Trudeau government. It accuses the government of providing space to violent extremists and terrorists. It's a reference to the Khalistan movement. Canada is home to the largest Sikh population outside India, and with it there have been calls for the creation of an independent homeland known as Khalistan. BC Premier David Eby, who is in the final few days of our provincial election campaign, said there are members of that community who are concerned about their own safety.
I'm profoundly concerned about the safety of the Sikh community. I know there are many people on hearing this news who are concerned about their own safety. There are others who are wondering, how is this possible that the government of India could potentially be involved in this kind of violent activity in Canada?
India also accuses Justin Trudeau of having members of his cabinet who support the Khalistan movement, and it alleges that Mr. Trudeau depends on a political party, the NDP, and a leader, Jagmeet Singh, who in the view of the Indian government, quote, openly espouses a separatist ideology. I'm Rob Snow. This is Now You Know on News Radio.
No question goes unasked or unanswered.
Now You Know with Rob Snow returns on News Radio.
He's back with a hot take on some of the hot news stories of the day. Professor Ian Lee is with the Sprott School of Business at Carleton University. Hi there.
Good afternoon, Rob.
Yeah, good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are. Let's talk about a big story in Ottawa, political Ottawa, the Liberal, what I call the mini revolt, that there are a growing number of Liberal MPs who want to see Justin Trudeau gone as the Liberal leader. According to some news reports, the MPs most unhappy with Mr. Trudeau's leadership are so-called blue Liberals. So what are they, blue Liberals? And in your opinion, what policies did the Trudeau government put in place that departed from, say, the blue Liberal tradition?
Right. A very, very good question. I wrote an op-ed, which was published in the Ottawa Citizen Post Media, after Mr. Trudeau became the leader of the Liberal Party, but before he was elected Prime Minister. And I said, I think it was titled, "This is the end of the marriage between the blue and red Liberals." And this was about the time he threw out the blue Liberals out of the party, the old guard, if you will. So, to your question, the blue Liberal, the Liberal Party has been a coalition, really. If you go all the way back to the turn of the century, of the 20th century, the Liberal Party has been a coalition of blue Liberals and red Liberals. And the red Liberals, I think people can guess what that means. These are people that are very significantly left of center. They're into social justice, and they're worried about social policy. The blue Liberals are sometimes have been called business Liberals, and so you have quite a few people in the business class who are supporters of the Liberal Party, but they're blue Liberals. there's an astonishing number of people in Toronto, and I say in Toronto, in the Bay Street area, the Bay Street community, the banks, who are blue liberals. You see them showing up on liberal fundraising campaigns as fundraisers. And that's how you know that they're liberals, by the way. As I'm not just asserting this. And so there's this long tradition. In fact, Justin Trudeau, Pierre Elliott Trudeau, only won the leadership on the fourth ballot. And he was just barely defeated Robert Winter. And Robert Winter was a very, very well-known blue liberal. And John Turner, until he sort of did an about-face on the free trade agreement, was known as a blue liberal. And many think that Jean Chrétien was a blue liberal, and Paul Martin. So there's a history of blue liberals, pro-business liberals. Let's call them that. Pro-business liberals. They believe in economic growth. They believe in, raising our productivity. They believe in keeping taxes low. They believe in free trade. And people have debated this from the beginning of time, or at least for a very long time, the difference between, conservatives and blue liberals. And I'm going to say a heresy. I don't think there's a lot of difference. And I've known blue liberals all my life, and I've known conservatives all my life, and I just don't think there's really any big room between them on economic policy. Let's leave social policy out of this. And we're not going to get into, transgendered rights and those issues that are very contentious. On terms of growth, budget deficits, taxation, I think blue liberals and conservatives in the Conservative Party basically have the same views. And so today, John Manley is very well known. He's very, very critical of Justin Trudeau, very publicly, by the way. Anne McClellan, another former deputy prime minister in the Liberal Party in the Martin years, has been very critical of the policies of the Trudeau government. So there is that split because there was a compromise, almost a coalition from all my lifetime between the blue and the red liberals. What Trudeau did was rupture that coalition because he threw them out. He said, "You're out of here." There was no ambiguity there. That's what prompted me to write my op-ed, which was published, called The Death of Blue Liberalism or something like that. And Mr. Trudeau, it's very well known, took the party very, very substantially to the left, and on many, many different issues. And so what we're seeing now, I think, and I agree with that beginning, those quotes you just read, that the revolt in the Liberal Party is from the blue liberal side of the party, the pro-business side, the more, the side of the party that wants to focus a lot more on productivity, on economic growth, on raising the standard of living, and it's at variance with many, not all, but many of the policies that have been adopted by Mr. Trudeau in his 9 years in office.
You see this revolt going anywhere very quickly?
I don't think so.
No.
It's very difficult to throw out an incumbent leader who refuses to go. And there's no inclination thus far from a sufficient number of MPs in the Liberal Party to suggest that they will decapitate him or throw him out. Paul Wells, the very distinguished journalist, wrote a column just this week saying, leaders who've won 3 elections have the right to run again and face the electorate, and if they get annihilated, they get annihilated.
Yes.
And so he's got a point there, although the American system and the British system, because let's not use the American because they're a congressional system, but the British parliamentary system is quite different from Canada, or Canada became quite different from the British because they invented the whole thing. They elect leaders by the caucus, and so the caucus can vote you out, and that's what happened to Margaret Thatcher. She was defeated by her own caucus, as were several other conservative leaders. So we don't have that in Canada. The belief is that you're elected by the convention of all the Liberal Party or Conservative Party, and so you cannot be removed by the caucus. And so I think if he chooses to stay, I think he will stay. Meaning there's no mechanism to get him out. He may choose to prorogue Parliament and may choose to step down to allow somebody else to become leader, but I don't think they're going to be able to force him to do that.
To force him out. Okay, when we come back, the carbon tax rebate goes into bank accounts today. What will you do with Your newfound riches, Professor Lee. When we come back, we'll talk about the carbon tax a little bit. Professor Ian Lee here from Carleton University. This is News Radio.
Critical thinking is not dead.
Now you know with Rob Snow.
Returns on News Radio.
Back with Professor Ian Lee from the Sprott School at Carleton University, who is cashing his shiny new carbon tax rebate check today. That goes into bank accounts today. It seems Canadians have soured on the consumer carbon tax, along with many longtime political supporters of the carbon tax, NDP premiers, Liberal premiers. Why do you think the tide turned against the carbon tax, Professor?
I think the Liberals sold it very badly, and you can. Abraham Lincoln, you can fool some of the people all the time and all the people some of the time, but you can't fool all the people all the time. Let me unpack that, because I do believe that there was some smoke and mirrors and snake oil involved. They were telling us it was going to go a long way towards solving carbon emissions. They said so very, very clearly. And yet people, they're not stupid. They can look out the front door and look at all the cars on the road. The number of cars on the road since the carbon tax came along didn't go down, it went up. And we did not start switching en masse to electric vehicles for a whole bunch of reasons, because there's great suspicion of the viability and range and all that stuff. And so people started to realize, okay, we're paying all this money. It's supposed to change our behavior. But then people realized intuitively what the very famous Professor Pigou at Cambridge taught us 100 years ago. He's the guy that invented this idea of a tax to change behavior. And he said they will work when there's an effective substitute. Everybody goes around, including many professors. Don't you understand? Carbon tax are going to work. And with respect to my fellow professors, I don't think they've read Professor Pigou deeply enough. He did not say, pop in a carbon tax or a tax on a particular consumption, and that's it. The problem goes away. Alcohol taxes are a Pigou tax. Does anybody really believe that because we have very high taxes on liquor and wine, that we've stopped drinking liquor and wine? No, we haven't. But there's not good substitutes for those who like liquor and wine. You can say, what about soft drinks? Well, the people buying liquor and wine, I guess, don't think soft drinks are that great. So my point is, people understood it was costing them a lot more to heat their home and to fuel their car, gas up the car. It wasn't producing the claimed outcome. And then the Liberals made it worse by saying, look, everybody, it's not going to cost anybody, they said it's not going to cost anybody very much. In fact, many of you are going to get back more than you paid, which contradicted the whole point of the carbon tax. Because the whole point of the carbon tax, they said at the beginning, was it was going to reduce emissions. Then they turned it or transformed it into some kind of an income redistribution plan. So I think they were so confused in their messaging. They didn't know what they wanted to sell. Was it a social policy to help low-income people? Was it supposed to change our behavior? Was it, what was the purpose? And I think it became muddier and muddier as time went on. And as the tax went up, remember, each year it wasn't a flat tax that just stayed still.
Sure. Yeah.
It was going up year after year for 9 years, and it started to become significant. And to tell people that, well, every quarter you're going to get a rebate, it doesn't cut it with many people. They've long forgotten. They remember when they gas up. And so I think for all those reasons, it was destined to fail.
Okay. Great to hear from you this week. Thank you. Bye-bye.
My pleasure, Rob. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Ian Lee, Associate Professor at the Sprott School at Carleton in Ottawa. This is News Radio.
Now you know with Rob Snow continues on News Radio, the Newsday panel.
Yes, it is time for our Newsday panel. And joining us today, Gary Keller, Vice President at Strategy Corps. Welcome back, Gary. Great to hear from you.
Great to be with you.
Yeah, along with Chris Day, the president of Winston Wilmot. Hi, Chris.
Nice to speak to you both.
And Gary and Chris have both, for a time in the past, worked for a Minister of Foreign Affairs, so we'll be leaning on them heavily as we ask for their reaction to all the developments between Canada and India and that relationship within the last 24 hours. Gary, what is your reaction to what we've learned?
Well, I mean, yesterday's news that the government of Canada had essentially expelled the Indian High Commissioner and 5 other senior diplomats in the Indian missions, both in Ottawa and across Canada. It certainly was a bombshell, I think, both in Canada and India. First of all, because it came on a Thanksgiving weekend, when sometimes there's not a lot of news breaking on a Thanksgiving weekend. But obviously, it is a major bombshell in the relationship between two countries, and I'm certainly hearing that from people on the Indian side of the equation as well. I mean, look, the relationship between our two countries has been cool to cold for some time, going back to Prime Minister Trudeau's visit to India back in 2018, and certainly the way the government handled the initial accusations on the Nijjar assassination in the House of Commons, going very public with it, certainly in comparison to how the Americans have handled a similar situation, sort of raised a lot of eyes on the world stage. So yeah, it is big news, and it will continue to be big news, partially because not just the people-to-people ties between our two countries, but the deep relationships at the economic and business level between the two countries. And there are a lot of Canadian companies and organizations which are, following this very, very closely. So, yeah, very much a bombshell, and things are going to get worse before they get better. And it's interesting also to note from my intelligence is that even on the Indian side, the Indians thought things had gotten better recently leading up to yesterday. But yes, this is another fracture in the relationship.
Yeah, it really is quite extraordinary. If you had told me some weeks ago that we would wake up one day and we would be learning that the High Commissioner of India has been expelled from Ottawa, I would have thought that's unreal. But yet, here we are, and that has come to pass. What is your reaction to these developments, Christe?
Well, I agree with everything that Gary has said. These are really extraordinary times in a relationship that is, frankly, too important for this to be derailed in the way that it has. It's really quite a stunning set of developments. Mm-hmm. And I think one thing that Gary was really prescient to point out is, the difference between how the Americans are handling this very file versus how this government has chosen to handle this file. Certainly, there's no room for any foreign actors to come into Canada and either threaten or commit crimes against Canadians. That is certainly not on. No adult country would allow its foreign actors to target its citizens in the way that is being alleged here. But the way that they have chosen to do this and the timing of it, I think, is really quite something. And I don't think that there's any coincidence in the fact that this is all happening, a day before the Prime Minister's key foreign affairs and key staff are going to the Hague Commission on foreign interference, and before he goes himself, he goes back in front of them. So, there's some timing elements here. There's a communication element here. There's a diplomatic impact, and there's huge trade ramifications that flow from all of this. I think it's a series of poor decisions with respect to the Canada-India file, and this is just the latest example of that.
Okay, so Gary, on that issue of timing that Chris brings up, why now? Why come out with all of this now, do you think?
Well, look, I'll take a step back and say, look, if the RCMP, and from the press conference yesterday, it sounds like the RCMP had been getting some intelligence for some time about the activities of Indian consular officials in Canada, and had actually brought that information to the attention of Indian authorities. There's a very interesting article in the Washington Post yesterday which summarizes Canadian activities leading up to yesterday's announcement by the RCMP, including a request to meet with the Indian side, present credible accusations and actionable evidence of what is considered to be nefarious actions by Indian state actors on Canadian soil. That was originally rebuffed by the Indian side, But then on Saturday, over the course of this weekend, there was a 5-hour meeting in Singapore between our national security advisor, Nathalie Drouin, and a Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs, David Morrison, and their Indian counterpart. A 5-hour meeting in which Canada apparently presented what it considered to be the evidence to the Indians. Now, I did some Indian TV this morning, and they said there was somebody who had just come from a briefing from their Foreign Affairs Department, so take it with a bit of a grain of salt by saying there was nothing credible that was presented there. So we're going to continue to have this back and forth over some time about what was actually said and what was actionable. The one thing is, if the RCMP has evidence, and they referenced this in their case yesterday, that in the press conference yesterday, that they have had to warn several people in Canada of impending actions against them. The RCMP does not just jump to the government's agenda here. If they said to the government, look, we have to go public with this information because other people's lives may be at risk, and we feel that we need to go public with it, then the government sometimes has to respond to the RCMP's timeline rather than the other way around. I know people will say, well, look at the timeline, and even some reporters in Ottawa have been saying behind the scenes the timeline is interesting, but I don't want to put too much evidence to that because these allegations are very serious. And if Canadians are at threat, then yes, the police forces need to take appropriate action.
Okay. I want to pick up on a few more points, but we'll have to stop here first. Is our Newsday panel. Chris Day is with us along with Gary Keller, two longtime veterans of Parliament Hill and Department of Foreign Affairs. I'm Rob Snow. This is Now You Know. This is News Radio.
Now You Know with Rob Snow continues on News Radio.
We are back with Gary Keller. He's Vice President of Strategy Corps. Chris Day is the President of Winston Wilmot, both in Ottawa. We've been talking a lot about the Canada-India file, given the news of the last 24 hours. Chris, I mean, it seems to me the big issue for India remains Khalistan and the fact that this movement for an independent Sikh state, despite it having little support in India or even generally speaking among Sikhs in Canada, that proponents for and advocates for Khalistan have managed to plant roots here in Canada and fundraise, promote the cause, threaten Indian officials, these kinds of things. How big of an issue is this? What could be done about it, in your opinion?
Well, I mean, we have a long and tortured history with Khalistani separatists taking actions in Canada and over involving assets in Indian assets over the Atlantic Ocean, for instance. So, I mean, it needs to be taken very seriously. It needs to be, frankly, clamped down on. As I said earlier, like, you cannot have people targeting Canadian civilians, targeting Canadians on Canadian soil over foreign interests, foreign entities doing this, in foreign interests. Like that. That's just not on. Right. No credible country should allow that. And so, you need to take this very seriously. And I'm very pleased if, the RCMP has done that. I mean, they were in the Air India Flight 182 disaster. They were criticized quite substantially, as was CSIS and other, government entities about the fact that they didn't take it seriously. So it's time to take it seriously. It's time to make sure that, any nefarious actors are rooted out and treated appropriately, and that if there are crimes committed or crimes about to be committed, that those are pursued to the fullest extent. In terms of listing of terrorist entities, there's all of those things. Certainly, we have a very individual and unique history of our own with separatist groups in this country. And separatist groups that, resort to violence to pursue their ends. And so, I think there is actually some room for common ground and common action by the governments of Canada and India. And I worry that the way that the current government has treated the current Indian government, the current Canadian government has treated the current Indian government, really undermines efforts to do joint action on these things.
On the Khalistan issue, give us your take on how that fits into everything here, Gary.
Yeah, it is huge, and it's huge as seen from the Indian perspective. Look, there is no doubt that in Canada we have a problem with Khalistani activists using gurdwaras, using other religious opportunities, parades, to advocate for a Khalistani state, which is not a thing in India. There's not a big advocacy for it in India, but it's the diaspora in Canada. We have a problem with these activities. And there was a video out recently somewhere in Canada, I believe it was in the Lower Mainland, where a picture of the Indian High Commissioner was shot at multiple times by Khalistani actors. And so, yes, we have a problem in this country with Khalistani terrorist supporters and separatist supporters. I mean, there was a global referendum for 6 on Khalistan that was organized out of Canada. So the Indians rightfully see this as Canada not taking the situation seriously, Canada not cracking down. But two things can be true at the same time. One, we as Canadians and as institutions, government institutions, have failed to crack down on Khalistani separatists and calls for violence among certain community members in this country. And two, the government of India may be taking actions which are contrary to the rules set out, what diplomats can do. And that is the accusation here, is that they've been more than involved in seeking out ways to spread certain activities in Canada. And we need to get to the bottom of those things. The challenge is what the RCMP put forward yesterday was still very vague, not a lot of details. And as with all of that there are a lack of specifics around this, there will continue to be a lot of they said on both sides of it, and we're not really getting to the bottom of what actually happens. Certainly accusations about the government of India using criminal gangs in India to carry out violence in Canada, that is a very serious accusation, and we need to get to the bottom of that, certainly. But more and more is going to have to come out from the government side, because lack to do so will impact the relationship even further.
Yeah. Okay, when we come back, Liberal Party politics and the reports of a revolt underway in the Liberal caucus. What are the chances of success? It's our Newsday panel. This is News Radio.
There is no question Rob won't get answered.
Now you know with Rob Snow continues
on News Radio.
Here with Gary Keller and Chris Day for the Newsday panel. What do you think of these reports of a revolt in the Liberal caucus, Chris Day? What do you think the chances are of success?
Isn't this the most boring palace revolt you've ever heard? My God, this is like Profiles in Courage. Let's make a heritage moment out of this. The most Canadian revolt or coup ever is we're going to have a letter to possibly ask that something happen at some future date. It's the most ridiculous thing.
Please don't share the letter.
Putting their name,
right?
No one's putting their name forward to it, or so it's bound to fail. I mean, PMO is already on the horn to people saying, there will be consequences if you sign on to this thing. If they already have, then that may be too late. But I really don't put a whole lot of stock in this until people start putting their names to it publicly.
Okay. Revolt in the Liberal caucus. Your thoughts on that, Gary Keller?
You just made me think of a line about the Liberal caucus is revolting. Look, I mean, what shocked me is from the news stories that, the Prime Minister's office, when they were coming back from the ASEAN conference in Laos, and they landed in Honolulu to refuel the plane, that's when they found out about all this happening. That's the thing that shocked me. My experience is that if there's a revolt brewing, there are people in Ottawa who know about it, because Ottawa is the leakiest sieve possible around town. There are people in the House Leader's office who know, people in the Whip's office who know, people in the Prime Minister's office who should know. And the fact of the matter that from the news report said that the Prime Minister's office seemed surprised by all this, That to me was the most shocking piece of news at all. And you've got the Prime Minister's Chief of Staff traveling all the time with him internationally. Sometimes the Prime Minister's Chief of Staff needs to be at home rather than traveling internationally to keep a handle on these things, to keep a handle on domestic events. It was the PMO's reaction to it, which to me was surprising. Look, there's no doubt there's people within the Liberal caucus who are unhappy with the leadership and are probably putting a letter to this end down. But without names, without structure to it, it seems like a damp squib. And then there's always the line: if you come at the king, you better not miss.
Mm-hmm.
And this seems like it's doomed to fail, which will just solidify those people who think Justin Trudeau should run against Pierre Poilievre even deeper and further. And then finally, are there any Liberal ministers going to come out and sign this thing? I doubt it. So again, it seems like a bit of a damp squib.
Okay, kind of doomed to fail. Let's work from the fun assumption that it succeeded. Then what, Chris? Then what?
Well, I think Gary makes an excellent point, right? Like if you have cabinet ministers who sign on to this, that makes this a much more tantalizing story and very real challenge for Justin Trudeau. If those people who have ambitions in caucus and in cabinet are part of the signatories of this, rumored letter, then I think it's on, right? Like,
okay,
the leadership race begins like that day, and a cabinet shuffle could follow. Like, it would depend on how this all comes out. To Gary's point, though, if you shoot for the king and you miss, like, be prepared to go down really quickly, because leaders don't get to where they are and don't stay where they are as long as Justin Trudeau has, without really good sharpshooters around them.
Okay. All right. That's a heck of a line to end on today. Thank you, Chris Day.
Great to be with you.
Yeah, and Gary Keller. That's our Newsday panel. Talkback is coming up right after the news. I'm Rob Snow. This is Now You Know, and this is News Radio.
It's time to talk back
On Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Call now
And have your say.
1-833-668-2577.
And welcome to Talk Back. 2 hours of debate and discussion on the big issues of the day. And today, some topics for you to consider and to comment on. But the big picture is government programs. Because the Trudeau government, during its time in office, has introduced many programs, and some are still being rolled out. And they cost and will cost tens of billions of dollars a year. And what we want to know is, are you benefiting from these programs? Or do you think you will benefit from these programs once they're fully rolled out? And what would you think if the next government, which could be a conservative government, eliminated some of these programs? 1-833-668-2577. 1-833-668-2577. That's our call-in line. For example, the carbon tax is in the news today. Today is rebate day for the carbon tax. People who qualify for the federal government's carbon tax rebates, they get their money today. Justin Trudeau celebrated today, carbon tax rebate day, by taking to his Twitter account and making a video encouraging you to check your bank account. I believe we have the audio of that. David, can you play that, please?
Today is a good day. Because if you live in one of these provinces, check your bank account. You just got the Canada Carbon Rebate. It looks like this, or like this. It's a payment from us that goes out 4 times a year. We put a price on pollution, and the revenue goes straight back into your pockets. So check your bank account or your mailbox in the coming days.
Okay, so today's a good day because it's rebate day for the. It's a good day because it's rebate day for the carbon tax. Okay, now look, as much as we love talking about the carbon tax and the rebates about the carbon tax, that is a Trudeau government program. The Trudeau government brought in the carbon tax. The Trudeau government brought in the rebate regime for the carbon tax. That's one of the programs created by this government. We really want to get into the bigger picture. And the bigger picture is lots of government programs. And what we really want to dig into today is when it comes to these government benefit programs, are they making your life better? Do you think you will benefit from them when they're fully rolled out? Are you better off because of things like the carbon tax rebates or the Canada Child Benefit Program? Or a pharmacare program that's in the works, the dental care program that is being rolled out. The federal government is going across the country announcing funding for a school meal program. There's the promise of $10 a day childcare. These programs come with multi-billion-dollar price tags. Are you benefiting from these programs? Do you think you will eventually benefit from these programs? Are they making your life better? Will they make your life better? And what would you think if they were at risk if the Conservatives win the next election? Again, our number to call is 1-833-668-2577, 1-833-668-2577. And if you've never called before, just mention that to David, and we will make your call a priority. 1-833-668-2577. Government programs. Look, in theory, there could be an election at any time. Okay, it's a minority government. There's no official or formal agreement between the Liberals and the Democrats anymore. The Bloc has put the Liberals on a deadline to meet its own demands, the Bloc's demands. So I guess you could say the government could fall at any time. Could fall this winter, could come next spring, could come next summer, next fall. Nobody really knows. But I would bet that one thing is for sure. When the next election campaign begins, the Liberals, whoever happens to be the leader of the Liberals at the time, they are going to point to all of these things. Okay? Rebates on the carbon tax. We give you that. The Canada Child Benefit Program. Hundreds of dollars in your bank account every month to help you raise a family. We did that. We're rolling out a pharmacare program. We're doing dental care. We're doing a school meal program. We're aiming for $10 a day childcare. And the Liberals are going to say, we're doing all those things to make your life better. We're doing all those things to make your life easier. And all of these things will be at risk if the trend holds and the Conservatives win the next election or form the next government. And all of this stuff will be at risk. All of this good stuff could go away. And that's why we want to know today, with your help, do you think these programs are truly making a difference in your life? Are they making your life easier? Could they make your life easier? Is it making your life more affordable? Could they make your life more affordable? Are they programs that are helping you make ends meet? What would you say? Yes or no? 1-833-668-2577, 1-833-668-2577. Let's get things going with a call from Tom in Halifax. Hi there, Tom.
Hello.
Hi, Tom.
So my comment is going to be with regard to the carbon tax. And as I see it, you pay it. And
Yeah.
It's the administration that pays it back, the federal government. So at the end of the day, I don't know how much of that we pay we actually do get back. I've never heard a percentage. It's not 100% because the government's going to glean off what it costs them to administer the darn thing. And in the meantime, I've done everything I could. I put a heat pump in, paid for it myself, no rebates, nothing. And what I use, I have to use.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't cut back. But what I don't like is that it costs money to take it and give it back.
Okay. Now the government says you're in Halifax. So the government, for example, if you're a single person in Halifax, Nova Scotia, you're getting a payment today of $103. If it's a family of 4 in Nova Scotia, the rebate is $206. Government says whatever you're paying in carbon tax, Tom, you're getting not only all of it back, you might even come out a little bit ahead at the end of the day.
Look, at the end of the day, it's just another tidbit of administration cost.
Okay.
And at the end of the day, again, everybody that drives a car, everybody that heats their house,
yes,
they use what they need to. Nobody uses any more than they need to.
Okay.
And I don't see a benefit to this. Nobody's going to cut back.
Okay. So if I say, because, the whole carbon tax thing and the rebate thing, that was a Liberal government created that. Now, they say they're doing it to make your life better. Yeah. Cleaner environment. It's not too financially painful. But you're saying it's not helping you. Fair enough?
It's not helping me personally, no. But I also know I speak to a lot of my friends, and at the end of the day, look, I'm in my mid-70s, and I have a lot of friends that still work. So we got to go to work.
Yes.
So, yes, we pay it.
Right.
But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. If collect the tax, everybody still burns what they have to burn. And the only beneficiaries of this, I see, is federal government employees who
are administering the program. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you, Tom. Thank you. I've got to go. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Okay. We're off to a rip-roaring start here. Government program. Lots of them out there, especially from the Trudeau government. Rebates on the carbon tax, Canada Child Benefit, pharmacare, dental care, meal programs at school, childcare programs. Are they making your life better? Could they make your life better? What do you think? And what if the Conservatives win the next election and form the government? What would you think if they eliminated some of these programs? 1-833-668-2577. It's News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talk Back on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
The Trudeau Liberals have launched many government programs over the years, and we are asking, are you better off? Will you be better off eventually because of things like the carbon tax rebate, the Canada Child Benefit, pharmacare program being rolled out, same with the dental care program, still to come a school meal program, $10 a day child care. Will these programs make your life better? What would be your reaction if the Conservatives canceled some of these programs? 1-833-668-2577. Natalie in Calgary, thanks for calling. Natalie, what would you say, Natalie?
Hi there. How are you?
Good.
Good. Can you hear me okay? I got you on Bluetooth, so sometimes it's a little bit
Yeah, I hear you just fine. Go ahead.
Perfect. So I want to preface by saying that I think in any society, social programs are important to a degree. Tourism. And so I actually spend quite a bit of time in Mexico in the tourist destination. And I've noticed over the last couple of years, more and more help wanted signs in the windows of restaurants. The hotels are hiring. And in destinations where there were once more jobs or more people than there were jobs, they're struggling, just like we are in Canada, to fill these positions. And I asked a couple of colleagues about it, and they said they just can't find people who want to work. And so I had a fascinating conversation with a hotelier last week. The new Liberal government in Mexico has implemented so many social programs that people aren't working anymore. And it's getting harder and harder to fill these positions because there's so much money coming in from the government. In fact, they're even talking about getting rid of the private schools so that all of the schools are public, and they want to publicly fund all of the schools. And I'm probably going to get hammered on for saying this, and this is just my opinion, or a theory, but I feel like when you have too many social programs, it minimizes, I don't even know how to say this without sounding really harsh, but I feel like, when I compare Canada to Mexico, and the way that we're struggling to fill the jobs here, I feel like it minimizes the desire to work.
Okay.
And
That's interesting.
Really
so what would you think then? I mean, you know, the way the political winds are blowing, Natalie, what if the Conservatives came along and said, pharmacare, we're not going to do that. Dental care, we're not going to do that. School meal program, we're not going to do that. Too expensive.
Well,
what would you say?
And as I said, I think that social programs are important.
Right.
To a degree.
Okay.
And I don't benefit from social programs. My family doesn't. We're fortunate enough that we're in an income where we support them. And so that's why I can easily say I support the program. But at some point, how much is too much? And
how much is too much? Okay. All right. Very good. Very good. Very interesting.
I only just recognized this over the last couple of years when I've seen in Mexico, nobody can find people who are willing to work. And I see it as a common denominator. Again, it's a theory, but that's my 2 cents.
Well, that's good. That's good. Okay, thank you for sharing your opinion. We are going to stop here. We want to get back on time here. We went a little longer in the first segment than we should have. 21 minutes past the hour. I'm Rob Snow. It's Talkback. Lots of government programs rolled out in the last little while. Are they making your life better? Could they make your life better? What if the Conservatives canceled some of these programs? I'm not saying they will. They're not saying much right now, but what if? 1-833-668-2577. This is Talkback on News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Talking about government programs launched by the Trudeau Liberals, things like the carbon tax rebates, the Canada Child Benefit, making your life better? Will you benefit from a program once it's fully rolled out, like pharmacare or dental care or a school meal program or $10 a day childcare? What would be your reaction if the Conservatives canceled some of those programs if they win the next election? The number to call, 1-833-668-2577. Tammy in Halifax. Thanks for calling. Tammy, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hi there. I just want to talk about the carbon tax. I don't really understand the carbon tax. I feel like the government is taking money from us to give it back. I don't really understand what the point is. It just causes administration fees, like the caller said before. I don't really think people benefit for it. So if the cost of my rebate is more taxes, I don't really think there's a point for the carbon tax, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. As for the other rebates, I think with childcare and regards to maybe the lunch programs, absolutely will benefit by them, but for what cost? So if I have to pay more taxes to get the rebate, is anybody really coming ahead? And I feel like it's the same demographic of people that are collecting and the same demographic of people that are paying. So does anyone really come out ahead in the end, I guess, at the cost of what, more taxes?
Okay. So you would
so no,
say
I don't really think
you don't really think so, okay?
No, I don't. Right? I don't really think so. No.
Okay, so if they're
not for what it costs,
because they're supposed to be benefit programs. I'm using air quotes here, benefit programs. But if you don't think you're benefiting from them,
well,
and then big price tag. Some of these.
Well,
programs.
That's the thing. There's no such thing as free money. The benefits have to come from somewhere. So the benefits are coming from me paying more taxes. It's not really a benefit. I'm just prepaying for what I might cash in on later, I guess.
Okay. I'm not saying Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives will win the next election, but all the polls say that's going to happen. Mr. Poilievre isn't really a big government guy. And there could be maybe a slimming down of some of these programs. Maybe some of them don't get rolled out the way they were supposed to. Maybe some of them get completely rolled back. I don't know. What would you think if that happened?
Well, I mean, as far as healthcare, until we really see what it brings, you can't really have an opinion on it. But, like I said, I'll be paying more taxes to have something I might use later. Yeah, or I could just save my money now and be able to afford it later. You're comparing
Tammy.
kind of apples to apples.
All right.
And like
Thank
I
you
said
for
before,
your call.
also, it's the same demographic paying for this other demographic to collect. So,
Okay. All right, Tammy, thank you. Let's go to David in Halifax as well. David. Hi there, David. We only have about a minute here, David. Yeah.
Good afternoon there, Rob. First of all, widowed, 68 years old, living on my own. So the only entitlements or largesse I received from the government is the GST rebate, which is like a nominal amount. And I got my carbon tax payment in my bank account yesterday for a whopping $129. So no, they are not life-changing in my circumstances. Now, with regards to...
Well, given your age, you could benefit eventually from this new dental care program, however, by the sounds of things.
That's true, but it's also down the road. If it was in place today, it would be a bit of a different story. But the current availability of those programs to me is nominal, and no, it would not be a game changer. But I think in terms of those policies being turned around or ripped up or whatever you want to call it,
rolled back,
unless I've missed a lot of stuff, I'm calling Pierre policy like Poilievre now. Because he really hasn't released much in the form of a platform. Now, I know
we're not in an election campaign just yet. That's what election campaigns are for platforms. Okay, we have to stop. Be right back on Talkback.
It's time to talk back
on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Call now
And have your say.
1-833-668-2577.
We're asking, are you benefiting from the Trudeau government's many programs, such as carbon tax rebates or the Canada Child Benefit? Pharmacare program being rolled out now. Say with a dental care program, a school meal program, $10 a day childcare. Are these programs making your life better? Do you think they will make your life better? What would be your reaction if the Conservatives canceled or rolled back some of these programs? 1-833-668-2577. Angel in Halifax. Angel, hi there.
Hi.
Hi.
This is my first time calling.
I appreciate that. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
love your show.
Appreciate that
glad
too.
it's
Thank
2
you.
hours long now.
Good. Glad you're
The
enjoying it.
benefits, I'm going to be really quick. I've got solar. I've got a heat pump. The heat pump costs more than the oil furnace. And the child care benefits, you have to be on the waiting list for 3 or 4 years before you can get in. The self-employed daycare, the government is putting them out of business because they can't be covered under that program.
Right.
The medical benefits. The medical benefits does not cover the middle class. The middle class or middle income is paying for everything. We are taxed to death, and we don't get the benefits because we all over $30,000 and we're in our age. So, like, I'm in my 50s. I would not benefit from that. And the rebate, the carbon rebate, that is a joke. If anybody can do math, simple math, 1 plus 1 does not equal 3. So I am paying more carbon tax, even though I've got a solar and I've got a heat pump system. I'm still paying more for gas in cars. If you get an electric car, you have to pay for the plug-in, you have to pay for the electricity that you're charging, and the time that you have to wait for the car to charge. It's not a good system. If you were an emergency, you couldn't just get up and go if your car
But there are
is
rebates
dead.
for the electric cars, and there are rebates for the charging infrastructure for homes.
No, they're
right?
not. They're not. It costs so much more, like three times as much. We looked into it. It costs three times as much.
All right.
But even for the rebates, and the rebates are a joke. So the government is trying to make us so reliant on them for everything that eventually we won't have any choice. It's like a dictatorship regime.
Well, I wouldn't go that far, but
it's getting to that point. So Trudeau
but to the basics of the question, are they
on.
making a difference in your life or making it easier for you to make ends meet? You would say no, because they're not targeted at the middle class, maybe more low income people. Fair enough point. That's been made before.
Yeah, we're still paying for
so what if, just saying what if, a conservative government came along and rolled some of these programs back? What would you say to that?
I would be so happy because he's going to
you would be happy. Okay, all right.
No, I would be happy because he's going to cut back. He's going to take away the carbon tax. That puts money back in our pockets. So we are allowed to spend the money the way that we see fit, not the way the government is saying that we need to do.
All right.
So, and same with the child care. Allow these independent child care programs or companies to flourish so people have more money in their pockets and they can decide where to go that fits the child and the parent.
Very interesting, Angel. Okay, we have to run. I thank you. Thank you for calling. Thank you for listening as well. I really appreciate Carol. A couple of lines there available. 1-833-668-2577. 1-833-668-2577. Ryan is also calling from Nova Scotia today. Hi there, Ryan.
How are you doing today?
I'm good, Ryan. Thank you for calling.
So I don't want to be long-winded. Here's the long and short of it. The short, no, it's not going to have these programs don't have a significant positive impact on my life. The long of it is that Professor Ian Lee hit the nail on the head there. The carbon tax cannot work unless there's a viable alternative. Now, as far as the other programs go, I want to come back to the carbon tax. As far as the other programs go for child care, I don't have kids, and yet I'm happy to pay that tax because no parent is going to be able to afford, going to find anything cheaper than $10 a day for child care. It's just, you're not going to find it. And we know how important education is to a country's GDP. The more educated your population is, the better cared for they are, the higher your GDP is. So I have no issue with that. And same goes with most of the other programs. But the carbon tax, that's the one that really gets me. So you have a government saying, we want you to get out of your gas car, and we're going to tax you up the wazoo to try to accomplish that. And, oh, look, here's a $20,000 EV from China. That's perfect. Oh, wait, no, we're going to make that a $40,000 EV from China. And the same thing from the solar panels and all other stuff that gets imported from China. They put massive tariffs on it to make it as expensive as possible. It's not going to bear fruit for you. Sorry. And it's just, I don't know what they think they're going to accomplish. And that aside, they keep saying you get more money back than what you're spending. Well, maybe what we're spending directly, but it's costing us in every single part of our economy because the food that we buy at the grocery store, the farmers got to pay for gas to go under the tractors. And then the transport trucks got to pay for gas to transport it to the processing center. And the processing center is paying more money for energy. So we don't get that money back, though, do we? And for people to think, oh, we're going to, I'm not for the carbon tax. It should be eliminated. But let's be real. It's not going to make things all that much cheaper because you think these companies are all of a sudden going to just lower their prices to go along with their lower costs? Of course not. When has that ever happened in history? So we're going to keep paying more and they're going to make more profit. So
okay, all right. So,
I know. I'm
so generally speaking, you're fine with covering, paying for social programs, potentially maybe benefiting from social programs, but one of the programs you're not benefiting from is the carbon tax.
Nobody is in this country.
Gotcha.
I mean,
nobody is. Okay.
Let's be realistic. I mean, do the math for anybody, any single family household, even somebody that's well below the let's say, poverty line. I don't know if that's a politically correct term anymore,
Well,
but
whatever. Yeah.
even they're not
Low-income cutoff,
benefiting.
yeah.
They're not getting more back than what they're paying. So it's not benefiting anybody.
All right. Thank you for your opinion. Appreciate it. 1-833-668-2577. I'm Rob Snow. It's Talkback. Have your say and give us a call. Share your thoughts. This is News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Government programs, that's the big picture theme today. We're asking, are you better off because of things like the carbon tax rebate program, the Canada Child Benefit Program? Will you be better off once pharmacare is fully rolled out, or the dental care program, or a school meal program? $10 a day childcare. What would be your reaction if the Conservatives canceled some of these programs? For example, on these carbon tax rebates, they're landing in bank accounts. It's real money. It's real money you get back from the government. They're sending some of your money back to you. And it's to help ease the cost of paying the carbon tax. Money that the government sends you 4 times a year. And no matter what the parliamentary budget officer says, the Liberals are going to stick with this claim. You're better off because you pay the carbon tax, because whatever you're paying, we're sending it all back to you. And then some. This was Stephen Guilbeault today on his Twitter account. This is what he was saying.
Hello, everyone. Very good news. Today is the day we're sending you the Canada Carbon Rebate. So if you live elsewhere than Quebec or British Columbia, go and look in your bank account. You may receive it by check. 8 out of 10 Canadians get more money back than what they pay. This is a way for us to fight climate change, to make sure that big polluters are doing their fair share when it comes to reducing pollution, but also helping you with everyday affordability issues. Good news for rural Canadians. They get a 20% top up because we realize that many things are more expensive in rural Canada. So go and check it out. Today's the day.
Today's the day. Good news. It's a good news kind of day. And if you live in a rural area, it's even better news for you. So what do you think? Patricia in Calgary. Hi, Patricia.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm good, Patricia. Thanks.
Okay, I work 6 days a week. I need my car for work because I do home support. Love my job. I tried this summer. I drove an electric car and a gas. I do not save a dime on GST. I pay more in the carbon tax than what I'm getting back. As for the rest of the programs, I raised my kids without those programs. It was tight. It'll always be tight. But that's a choice you make as a parent. You either give up your Starbucks or you feed your kids. It's a matter of choice. And I did
but
it.
what if
My
things
kids
didn't
had
have
a
to
great
be so
time.
tight because the government was there to help you? I think that's what the counter would be to that.
It's always been tight. It always has been. Doesn't matter who's running. It's always been tight. At the Conservatives, it was tight for cash. And at the Liberals, I'm tight for cash. You don't win.
Right. Can't win. Okay. Well, what would you think if you're not benefiting from some of these programs, or maybe you think some of these programs shouldn't exist? What if the Conservatives win the next election and cancel some of them? What would you think of that?
That's fine. I might get a break for once.
You might get a break.
My
Okay.
taxes are sky high.
Okay.
I can't
All right,
afford
Patricia.
to live.
Thank you for your call. All the best to you, Patricia. I appreciate you sharing your opinion today. Aaron in Halifax, you're on the line, Aaron. Go ahead. What's your opinion, Aaron?
Hey, Rob. Thanks for taking my call.
You're welcome.
Just want to say I love your show.
Thank
listen
you.
to you every day, and
Very
I
kind.
think
Very kind.
it's fantastic to hear people, having discussions that these are things that we should be talking about. You had a caller just a couple of calls ago, a gentleman, and he actually took the words right out of my mouth. What I wanted to say, basically, my opinion on all the public programs about how I'm glad that my taxes are going to help people that need help. I'm expecting to need the affordable child care in the future. I know some people that I currently work with that 98% of their paycheck goes to their child care because they have two children, and it's so expensive.
Very
and
expensive.
I'm not even exaggerating the numbers. That's the worst part.
Oh, no.
The other 2%, I don't know. I guess that would go to, like snacks and gas. And thankfully, they have a partner who helps them with the other things that they have to pay for. But if it was a single-family household, that wouldn't be feasible.
Right.
Now, there was somebody who
So
called,
you think trying to get the average cost for childcare to parents down to $10 a day, which is the goal from this government by 2026, you think that's a worthwhile endeavor then?
I do. I
Okay.
do. I know it doesn't feel like a popular opinion because we are all taxed so insanely hard, and the prices of everything have gone up. And every day we're hearing these great numbers coming back on the amount of. Just a second. Sorry, I've got you on Bluetooth, and somebody's cutting me off here. All right, there we go. Sorry about that.
Okay, that's okay.
The gentleman that he had on earlier, he was saying, like, even if they removed some of these programs and made it more affordable for companies to provide their products and services, they're not going to lower their costs.
Okay.
And every day we hear on the radio about how the government of Canada has been lowering, or the interest rate has been doing great.
Bank of Canada, yeah.
Yeah, Bank of Canada. It's just been going down. It's at a new low, record low for the year, or for the last couple of years. That's great, but it's still a percentage of inflation, and nothing is going to go back down. Like, we're never going to go back to the prices that we think.
The fact is inflation has cooled, but prices are still going up. For example, even in the inflation report today, the inflation number was 1.6%. So consumer prices were 1.6% higher than last year. It's not that prices are coming down. It's just that they're not going up as much as they used to.
Exactly. That it's slowing down, but it's still going up.
Yeah, it's still going up. Yeah, for sure. Okay,
Yeah,
Aaron, we've got to go. I thank you. Thank you, though. Thank you, because you do see some merit in $10 a day childcare. Okay. That's interesting. 1-833, 668-2577. Be right back. It's Talk Back. Lots of time to take your calls. A full hour still ahead after the news at the top of the hour, but more calls before then. This is News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talk Back on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Are you benefiting from government benefit programs? Jason in Kitchener up next on Talkback. Hi, Jason.
Hey, how's it going? I get tired of those because they're always trying to add new benefits and new programs to help us out. And then, everybody's got to bow down to their government overlords and thank them because they've helped us out so much. But if you're the average across Canada, you're going to pay 40. If you're the middle income, you're going to pay 48 to 55% of your income into taxes. So it's like, so you make $100,000 a year, they take 55,000 of it, and then it's like, okay, well, we're going to help you survive by giving you a baby bonus of 4,000. We're going to charge you another 3,500 in total for your gas and all that stuff, and then we're going to give you another 1,200 back, and like, you should be so thankful because we helped you survive. It's like, I'd rather get rid of most of the programs and let us keep some of our paycheck. Give me $25,000 back out of my taxes, and I don't need any of your programs.
Okay, because I think one of the narratives in the next election campaign is going to be just what you outlined. We're doing all of these great things. We really want to help you. That's why we're doing pharmacare. That's why we're doing dental care and school meal programs and child care programs, Canada Child Benefit, all of that at risk. If the Conservatives come to power, you would say bring it on, I guess. I don't know.
But for every $1,000 they help me with, they charge me $5.
Okay.
So I do without their help would help me out a lot.
You do without their help. Okay. All right, Jason. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Michael will be the last call for this hour. Michael's calling from Cape Breton. Hi there, Michael.
How are you doing today? Good program.
I'm good, Michael. Thank you.
Listen, Rob, it's as simple as this. From cradle to the grave, if we don't look after the least of our brethren, we're no good. When they can look after the big corporations with their billions of dollars and write the loans off, what's the difference? You're helping the ordinary guy that can't help himself. The big corporations, they get it whether they need the help or not. So, give me more, the Grease Lightning song. Bring it on.
Okay. But we've taken a number of calls in this hour, Michael, from people who say I'm not really benefiting from these programs, that they're maybe not well targeted, specifically at the middle class, you know?
Some of those people that are calling in saying they're not benefiting, you go try to get the check off them that they get in the mail from one of these programs. And they chew your arm off at the elbow. Don't let them fool you. I'll talk to you later, buddy.
All right, Michael. Thank you. Always with a way of words, that guy. Okay, hour number 2. We'll pick things up right after the news on this. The Trudeau Liberals have launched many, many programs over the years. Are they making your life better? Will they make your life better once they're fully implemented? Things like, because there are programs to come, Pharmacare is just in its infancy right now. Dental care still being rolled out. School meal program on the way. $10 a day childcare eventually. Will they make your life better? What if the Conservatives canceled some of those programs? Have your say right after the news. Hour number 2 of Talkback just ahead on News Radio.
It's time to talk back
on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Call now
and have your say.
1-833-668-2577.
There will be a federal election campaign eventually, and when that election campaign begins, the Liberals will point to all of the government programs that they have created to benefit you. Like the carbon tax and the rebates on the carbon tax. Like the Canada Child Benefit Program. There's the new Pharmacare program in the works. The dental care program's being rolled out. There's a new school meal program. There's a $10 a day childcare promise. And the Liberals are going to say, we're doing all of these things to make your life better, to make your life easier. And all of these things will be a great risk if the Conservatives win the next election and form the next government. All of this stuff could go away. So we have been asking during Talkback today, welcome to hour number 2, if these programs are truly making a difference in your life. Are they making your life easier? Could they make your life easier when they're fully implemented? What would you say? 1-833-668-2577. 1-833-668-2577. Lisa in Waterloo. Thanks for calling, Lisa. Hi there.
Hi.
Hi. What would you say?
I would say they have not made my life easier at all. I have not benefited. I have not benefited from any of this. Childcare, basically, I paid a small fortune to send my 2 kids to take care. To the fact where, when I filed my taxes, the government was even asking for proof of payment. In the 20,000s, I paid to send 2 kids to daycare. Now that they're done school, you know what I mean? Like, I did not benefit from any of this. I would like to see the Conservatives get in, fully, wholeheartedly get in.
Okay. But do you think a program, like let's say, take childcare, for example, on childcare, big money program, lots of promises to eventually deliver $10 a day childcare. Do you think it would be a good thing if the government did that?
No, I don't. I really don't. I think it's benefiting a small group of people. People make choices.
Okay.
I mean, people make choices in life. I mean, I made choices. I didn't even own a cell phone until I was in my 30s.
Right. Okay.
You know, to pay for daycare.
But what if instead of parents paying, thousands of dollars a month, they were paying a couple of $100s a month? Wouldn't that be a benefit to parents?
It would be a benefit to parents, but I mean, I think they could actually benefit every Canadian, because there are people out there that have raised their children. There are people out there that don't have children. Why don't they lower, like you, a few callers ago said, to lower the taxes? That would benefit every Canadian.
Okay.
Every working Canadian would pay less taxes. The money would go into their pockets.
Okay. So the Liberals are already saying things like this. Dental care is at risk. Pharmacare is at risk. Child care is at risk if the Conservatives win. And you're saying...
Cancel all the programs.
That's fine.
Too many programs.
Too many programs.
Pharmacare would probably be the top one that I agree with.
Okay. All right. All right.
But-
Okay. Thank you. Thank you,
Okay, you're
Lisa.
welcome.
Yep. 1-833-668-2577. 3 lines available there. Your wait won't be too long. Let's go to Paul in Cambridge. Paul. Hi there, Paul.
How are you doing?
I'm good, Paul. Thank you.
I benefit from absolutely nothing. I'm a senior,
Nothing.
so I don't get any child care benefits. Apparently I make too much to get any dental benefits. And pharmacare only benefits big pharma, nothing else. They're the ones.
Well, why do you say that? Why do you say that? Pharmacare only benefits big pharma. If the goal is to make your costs lower for prescription medications, how does that benefit big pharma?
Because big pharma has better deals with private insurance companies than they do with the government. So if it's government dollars, they're not real dollars. That's just taxpayer dollars. So they can just charge as much as they want to the government, and the government pays it. And guess whose money they use to pay for that? They use mine. Eliminate all these programs, reduce the taxes, and then everyone benefits, not just a few. Everyone benefits if they eliminate all those programs and reduce taxes.
Okay, but what about a program like $10 a day childcare? Childcare is very expensive, as I'm sure you're aware. Some people are paying thousands of dollars a month for your childcare. What if it was $10 a day?
Well, first off, as a senior, that's not going to benefit me.
Well, it's not about benefiting you. Do you think it benefits the country?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Do you need ketchup?
Are you at
a drive-through right now? Are you at a drive-through?
Yeah, I didn't
Seriously?
expect you to pick up quite that quick. I'm out of there. Anyways, all these things, somebody has to pay for it. There's no such thing as a free lunch, as I know because I just went through the drive-through.
Yeah, what'd you get and how much did it cost?
$13.
$13. Okay. For what?
14 and change.
Okay.
So, who pays for all these programs?
Well, you do. Okay. What cost you $14 at the drive-through?
I can't say that. That'd be considered advertising for the.
I don't care what it is. I don't care what it is. It doesn't matter what it is. I'm just curious. That's all.
A Whopper fries and a Coke is
Whopper fries and a
$14.
Coke, $14 at the drive-through. There you go. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Life
all
is
these
expensive.
Yeah, all these taxes that we pay, okay, in order to fund these programs, just drives up the costs of everything else. We're taxed when we make it. We're taxed when we spend it. Like I say, I don't get. Ontario's already got a pretty good pharmacare program. And I know because I'm on a lot of different prescriptions. As you age, you find that happens.
Sure. Yeah.
Dental, they say I make too much. The only reason I make too much is because I got to burn through all my savings before I die, because when I die, the government's going to take 50% of it. And if I believe my doctor, I got to spend this money quick.
All right. Okay. Look, we'll go let you enjoy your lunch. Okay. Thank you for calling. I think that's the first time someone has called while they're actually at the drive-through window and gets asked for ketchup for his Whopper combo. Thank you, Paul. Okay. We'll stop here. That's an interesting start to hour number 2, isn't it? I'm Rob Snow. Government programs. Are they making your life better? Things like the Canada Child Benefit, the Pharmacare program, the dental care program. It's going to be a school meal program. For years, the Liberals have been promising you will pay no more than $10 a day for childcare. Do they have a benefit to your life? What would be your reaction if the Conservatives canceled some of these programs? 1-833-668-2577. It's Talkback on News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
From the Liberals, you get promises like $10 a day childcare. We will give you a school meal program. We're rolling out a dental care program. We're rolling out a pharmacare program. We've already given you the Canada Child Benefit. We're putting money in your bank account today in the carbon tax rebate. We are asking, are these programs making your life better? And what would be your reaction if the Conservatives canceled some of these programs if the Conservatives win the next election? 833-668-2577. 1-833-668-2577. Matt in Red Deer, Alberta. Hi, Matt. What would you say, Matt? Hi.
Well, I would say a lot of these programs are I think they're kind of a waste of money because they're collecting the tax money from people and then they're processing it, taking their cut and then giving most of it back to us. It's just kind of pushing paper down the desk, right? Like if you went away with, if you took a lot of the taxation away that we have to pay now for all these programs that benefit a select few, and to be clear, I have a 5-year-old, so I benefit from the daycare a little bit. But how long have the Liberals been promising this $10 a day daycare? They've been promising it before my son was even born.
Right.
I've yet to see it.
Okay.
Just like all these other promises they see.
I don't want to, intrude or get too personal, but how far away from $10 a day are you?
$10 a day. I am significantly, like we pay, I think we pay $1,100 a month.
$1,100 a month.
Yeah,
wow.
It's just shy of $1,100 a month. I'm not sure what that breaks down to. I mean,
now the goal is to get that down to $200, right?
Yeah, it's nowhere near that.
Nowhere near that.
No, we're paying, like you said, we're just shy of $1,100 a month, and he starts school. He just started school.
Right.
So he goes 2 days a week to school.
Right. Okay. What if eventually it does get to that? Do you think that will be good?
I think it could be good for the people that get to benefit from it, but I think this kind of comes down the line of a little bit of government overstepping because they're trying to tell people how to live. Give us your money. We know how to spend it better than you do, even though you know nothing about my life, is how I feel, honestly. If you let people keep the majority of their money, they could spend it how they needed to best suit their lives instead of having like a one-size-fits-some.
Okay. So if the Conservatives decided we're going to roll some of these programs back, what would you think of that?
Well, that would depend on if that comes with do I get to keep more of my money? Like, do I get a lower tax bracket?
Say it came coupled with, Matt, here's a middle income tax cut for you. We're going to lower income taxes.
Then I would say I would probably support it because then I can better utilize the additional income that I now get to keep because then I get to use it how best suits my life and my family.
Right. In addition to cutting the carbon tax. Right. And
in addition to cutting the carbon tax, yes.
Yeah. And you wouldn't get a rebate. You got a rebate today for the carbon tax, right? In Alberta.
Yeah, but I'm a sole proprietor, so I get a percentage of that rebate, but I pay a lot more into it than I get back because I'm not the average Canadian citizen.
I see. Okay.
Now,
all right.
That one last thing, and I'll let you go. It goes back to the whole thing of stop taking the money from me just to give it back to me later.
Okay, interesting. Thank you, Matt. Very good point. Yeah. Okay. Excellent. Thank you. Let's go to Joe in Kitchener. Hi, Joe.
Hey, Rob. Long time. Anyway, I really appreciate the candor of your young producer there. Just wanted to throw that out there. But I hear a lot of people that are disenfranchised with the current system. And I don't blame them because I certainly am. Because honestly, Rob, I don't know where my tax dollars are going and how they're benefiting me. So here's the thing. Nobody has a solution. So I have a solution. Here's my solution. Are you ready?
All right. I'm ready.
Okay. Let's have a graduated tax system. If you take advantage of certain programs, you get taxed differently than the people who don't use those programs.
Okay.
Is that too much logic for the government to wrap their head around? Is that too much? Am I asking too much?
Maybe.
Yeah. Well, yeah. What do you think?
Right. Yeah.
I don't use any of these programs, yet I have to pay for them. I have to cover everybody else's ass rather than my own. So here's my suggestion. You pay for what you use. And I know where you're going to go. Now you're going to say, okay, money in, money out. You're talking about a net zero, Joe. Yeah, maybe I am. Maybe I am. But you know what? It isn't helping me. And I don't want to pay for everybody else, especially all the immigrants that are coming into this country and taking advantage of all these loopholes.
All right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Okay. All right. I was with you up until the very last part there, Joe. Thank you. Okay, we'll move along. Actually, we'll have to stop here. We'll get to John in Nova Scotia coming up next, and more of your calls at 1-833-668-2577. The benefit or lack thereof of the many government programs launched by the Trudeau Liberals during its time in office, things like the Canada Child Benefit, child care programs. Still to come, school meal programs, dental care programs, pharmacare programs. They're celebrating the carbon tax rebates going into your account today. Are they making your life better? And what if the Conservatives rolled some of these programs back? If they win the next election, how would you feel about that? 1-833-668-2577. It's Talkback on News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Trying to measure in your own terms the benefit of these many government programs that have been laid out in the last 9 years of the Trudeau Liberals. Their promises for $10 a day childcare. Canadian families do collect the Canada Child Benefit. The carbon tax was created by Trudeau along with the rebates that are landing in bank accounts today. Still to come, a pharmacare program that's just rolling out, a dental care program that's underway, and eventually a school meal program. Are these programs benefiting you? What if the Conservatives roll them back? If the Conservatives win the next election? Let's go to John in Kentville, Nova Scotia. Hi, John. Hello, John. Are you with me? No, I don't think we have John, unfortunately. 1-833-668-2577. 1-833-668-2577. I mean, for example, on the carbon tax. Okay, some Liberals are celebrating the carbon tax. The rebates are landing in bank accounts today. Okay, real money. So if you're a single person in Nova Scotia, on average, you get a payment today of $103, and you'll get another payment in January of $103. In Alberta, that single person is getting $225. In Ontario, that single person is getting $140. Family of four in Nova Scotia, family gets a rebate of $206, plus there's a carve-out on furnace oil. They don't pay carbon tax on furnace oil. Remember that 3-year carbon tax carve-out? In Ontario, family of four, $280. In Alberta, family of four, $450 payments. 4 times a year, every 3 months. Payments go out today. There'll be another payment in January. Government says we're doing that. We're trying to make your life easier. I know that was a hot topic for David on Friday. You know, we can pick it up again today. 1-833-668-2577. Andrew in Calgary. Hi, Andrew.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good, Andrew. Thank you. Hi.
Good.
What's your opinion?
Hey, I just wanted to say that I think that I don't benefit from these social programs directly myself, but stepping outside of myself, not being the center of my own universe, I do see them as a net benefit for Canada in general.
Okay.
When you look at something like the carbon tax, I'm not even going to touch that. I agree with what most people are saying here in that regard. So I'll leave that one aside. But when we look at something like the dental care, I think Canada has been at a disadvantage by not having dental care included in their healthcare system for many years. It's a lot cheaper for a lot of families just to wait until their kids' teeth or even their own teeth rot out, and then they can end up in primary care or acute care in order to actually get these things taken care of. We're better off as a preventative measure just getting them taken care of, especially for the kids. That's my opinion on that one.
Okay.
When it comes to the child care benefit or the $10 a day child care, you know, we want to put more people into the workforce. We want to make it possible, but yet until we had programs like this, people were paying pretty much the equivalent of a mortgage payment in order to keep their kids in child care. My kids, I've been fortunate. I never had to put my kids in childcare. I work a job. I work out of the city, so my wife has stayed home, and I made a little bit more money for working away.
But still, you think there's a benefit to it, right?
Yeah, there's an absolute benefit to it. There's a
absolute
huge benefit
to it.
For
Okay. All right.
society.
Gotcha. Thank you for calling, Andrew. The greater good, he says. We're in the home stretch of Talkback. Still lots of time, though, for you to have your say. News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talk Back on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Trudeau government's launched many government programs over the years. Things like the carbon tax and the rebates going into your bank accounts today, but also things like the Canada Child Benefit. That's $24 billion a year, $2 billion a month that the government is sending to Canadian parents. Is working on a pharmacare program right now. It's starting to roll out a dental care program. It's promising $1 billion over 5 years for a school meal program. And eventually $10 a day childcare, all to make your life better. But are they making your life better? What would be your reaction if the Conservatives cancel or roll back some of these benefits? 1-833-668-2577. Marianne in Calgary. Thanks for waiting there, Marianne. Go ahead.
Hi there. I'm going to say I would be happy if they canceled a lot of programs, and the one I'm going to really focus on is the lunch programs. I work in a school, and I'm just wondering how they would actually implement that with kids having so many different preferences of foods, allergies, because 2 years ago, I think it was, we had a daycare, I won't mention its name, but it provided food to multiple daycares in Calgary. They had an E. coli outbreak, and a few kids got really sick, and I believe even some died. How are they going to try and prevent things like that on this massive scale when schools don't have any real lunchroom to provide anything? So are they going to be packaging everything up in individual servings with all the garbage that's going to be created? I just see it as a total nightmare of everything with that.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good. It's going to be a real dividing line. I mean, you hear the Liberals are already accusing Poilievre of wanting to see children go hungry, right? They're already saying things like that. They're certainly going to up that rhetoric, once the election campaign gets underway. So,
but let parents pay for their own food. But I know that we've got some kids in schools that, the parents don't send their kids with any food at all ever, and the schools have to provide for them. So the schools do, but by and large, most people, I think, would rather pack foods that they know their kids are going to eat and not have the extra cost of this food program. Because I even look at the $10 a day daycare. Yeah, it's a great idea, but when we had our kids, we only had 2 because that's all we could afford. I would have loved to have had more kids, but we were responsible knowing what our finances would allow. Is this going to make people have more and more kids? Because, the government's going to pay for it just like they do with so many other programs. So I don't know. I just think it's going into a total nanny state that the government's going to look after everything and people aren't going to work, and who's going to pay for it? Because someone has to pay for it. And with all these programs, more and more people want to move out of Canada.
All right, Marianne. Thank you.
Thanks, Rob.
With $10 a day childcare, I mean, it's supposed to be fully implemented all across the country, and you'll be able to get a space. The government says $10 a day by the year 2026, and the government says because of all the deals that it's signed with all the provinces, that childcare fees have already been cut in half. I don't know if that's been your experience, but that's what the government is claiming. The fact is, I'll be curious to see what Mr. Poilievre does with that, if he does indeed hold the trend and wins the next election, because the Trudeau Liberals offered so much money to the provinces, even provinces that didn't like the idea of more government involvement in childcare, like at the time the Kenney government in Alberta, it was in those days. I mean, even that government couldn't say no. The Liberals basically made them an offer they couldn't refuse. In Alberta, It's $565 million coming from the federal government to try and get childcare costs down to $10 a day, year after year after year, $500 million. Money from Ottawa going to Edmonton. 1-833-668-2577. Clay in Calgary. Hi, Clay.
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm good, Clay. Thank you.
I'm just calling about all the benefits and all the programs that have come out with the current government.
Yes.
I myself have a disability. I have schizophrenia. And, there's all kinds of programs, that I really have benefited from. And at the same time, I still work. I still have a full-time job. I still pay a ton of taxes. But I mean, like, the reality is that some people need more help than others. And that's the job of the government to figure out and allocate, what parts of the country need attention. I mean, if the Conservatives come into power and they make changes, that's just the collective conscience speaking, Okay. I definitely feel like people at my work, for example, can benefit from, that $10 a day daycare. Everyone struggles with, in the part of the country where I live in Calgary, I know a lot of people struggle with
childcare costs,
housing and childcare costs. Yeah. So I think that there's benefit to the programs that we already have in place. But I mean, if there's a new government and a new, way of direction that Canada wants to go, then definitely, we can make. That's reality. Is we voted these people in, and they have programs that help people like myself or others. And it's a community thing. We're a community part of Canada. We all have to contribute in whatever way we can, and not everybody needs as much help as the next person.
Okay, thank you, Clay. Very interesting observations. I hope you'll call back sometime. I'm Rob Snow. It's Talkback. Still about 20 minutes left to take your calls. Love to hear you as we talk about the benefit of some of these government programs. Maybe, put them to the test, so to speak. Maybe a means test here on Talkback. I'm Rob Snow. It's News Radio.
Something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talk Back on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Are you better off because of government programs like the carbon tax rebate or the Canada Child Benefit or $10 a day child care or eventually a school meal program, dental care, pharmacare, and the list goes on? Are these programs making a difference in your life? What if the Conservatives win the election and cancel some of these programs? How would you react? 1-833-668-2577. Kimberly up next, calling from Alberta. Hi, Kimberly.
Hi, Rob. How are you doing?
I'm good, Kimberly. Thank you.
Good. Hey, Rob, I was just calling about the carbon tax. My main concern is the carbon tax to implement and maintain must cost us a small fortune. The carbon tax rebate to implement and maintain must cost us an additional fortune. The Liberal government states 8 out of 10 Canadians are better off with the carbon tax than the rebate. But it must cost us a fortune for these programs. If 8 out of 10 households are better off, why are you even doing this? Why are you taking only to give back? Why even do this? This is costing us a ton of money to maintain. And if 8 out of 10 households are better off, why even take it in the first place?
Why? The money would be better off not leaving your bank account in the first place, right?
Literally cancel
instead of me sending it to Ottawa, you do whatever it is you do, figure out who gets how much, whatever. Just let me keep that money in the first place, right?
Well, for goodness sake, to implement this and give out a carbon tax rebate to 8 out of 10 households that they profess to state are better off as a result of the rebate. Cancel the tax. Holy Hannah. If it's really 80%, what's the sense in taking the tax in the first place?
Yeah, I believe if I remember, yes, I just found a story. Blacklock's Reporter, we interview from time to time Tom Korski from Blacklock's Reporter. They did some digging. They wanted to find out, all right, how much does it actually cost to have bureaucrats in Ottawa administer the carbon tax and decide who gets what, send out the checks, send out the checks, all of this stuff.
The rebate
it's $200 million
See?
a year.
What is the sense? I just
and
don't
there
get
are in Ottawa, or at least within the federal government apparatus, 474 federal government employees work on the carbon tax.
And by the sounds of things, that's just a cost estimate of the rebate. What does it cost to implement the tax itself?
Okay, that is that's the total bill, $199 million to administer the carbon tax. That's what it costs. Okay,
and that includes the rebate,
including the rebate. Yes.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, that's money.
So that is a small fortune. I mean, if I won $200 million in the lottery, I would say I just won a small fortune.
Literally.
Not even so small.
And
I would be quite happy.
Say, how many people are working in Ottawa for the benefit of this tax that, seriously, people can't afford right now? And when it talks about dental care and we talk about pharmacare, it wasn't the Liberals who stood up and implemented these programs. It was the NDP that pretty much forced the Liberal government to undertake these programs.
Fair enough point.
It's not the Liberals who are doing us a lot of favors here. It's just not.
All right, Kimberly. Thank you. Good to hear from you. From Kimberly to Christian is in Calgary. Hi, Christian. What would you say to this discussion here? What's your opinion?
Well, I think a lot of it's been covered, but I just think that the general population can't seem to get over the notion that of government pay this and government pay that. And, it's almost like a change in language that's needed so that you understand it's taxpayer pay. It's not Ottawa offering $500 million a year for child care to a province or whatever. It's taxpayer money.
Okay.
And I think that we have to change the way we describe it.
Yes.
Excuse me. And I think, it's a little like someone coming into your house, finding a stash of 10 grand somewhere in a drawer, and then saying, hey, I want to buy that couch off of you. I'm going to give you $5,000 for that couch. And you say, oh, what a great deal. That's more than that couch is worth. But they're buying it from you with your own money.
Right. Okay.
And so when they're paying too much, and then you've got these levels of administration on top of it that eat up that money, and it just becomes much more expensive than it needs to be. And everybody, I think, gets that when you talk about it. But then when they're presented with these government pay options, we sort of tend to forget and have this sort of delusional kind of thinking about how beneficial it is. And I'm not sure how to get around that, but that's just it's just frustrating to see it repeat itself over and over again.
Right. That it's not the government providing this money to families or to provinces or other levels of government. It's taxpayers. You would like a change in the way we talk about it.
Yeah.
Stop saying the government is doing this and instead say taxpayers are paying for them. Whatever. Yeah, fair enough point.
Yeah, I think
about the language. Yeah, sure.
In South America, he sort of banned that term of like free and government pay, and he's like making any publication of these claims have to properly describe how that money's coming from the taxpayer.
Okay, very interesting. Okay, thank you. Very good to hear from you, Christian. I really appreciate your call. We'll be back and take a few more calls and then wind down our very first talkback of the week here on a Tuesday after the Thanksgiving long weekend. This is Talkback on News Radio.
You have questions.
Now you know with Rob Snow has the answers.
On News Radio.
As we wind down this Tuesday after the Thanksgiving long weekend talk back. Let's go to Robert in Cambridge. He wants to talk about government programs, the benefit of government programs. Hi there, Robert.
Hey, Robert. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you, sir.
It makes me laugh. The conditioning that people are under. We're at, last time I checked, it's either 63 or 66% of our pay, of all monies, go to the government right now. So between all the taxes that you put together, it's between 63 and 66%. And we're so busy worried about the table scraps that are falling down that we can't stop and wrap our heads around of how much we're already being gouged. 1 in 5 people work directly for the federal government. That's a staggering figure. Just think of that in your head. And you go to yourself, hang on a second, and you want more from me? And the irony is, if they would actually stick to their lane, think of this for a second. Wow, what a bold thought. We dropped down to a 30% across the board. I can handle it all myself. You handle the roads, the military, that type of stuff. Can you imagine that?
Okay. All right. So lower taxes, much smaller government. Sounds like your kind of nirvana. So what if the Conservatives won the election? They said, well, we kind of see life the way Robert in Cambridge sees things, and we're going to roll some of these programs back. That'd be okay with you, Robert?
You can only hope and pray. Otherwise, you can kiss the country goodbye.
Oh, my gosh. Okay. That's a pretty dire outlook. Would like to think we're a little more resilient than that. But I thank you for your call. But I think we'll make that the final call of the day. What is interesting to me, and we talked about this with Pierre Poilievre on Thursday, David, is that despite all of these programs, child care and dental care and promises of pharmacare and meals at school and benefit checks and rebate checks, despite all of this, inequality is actually worse in Canada. There was a report highlighting this just last Thursday from StatsCan. This was one of the headlines in one of the very few news reports about it. Quote, income inequality in Canada rises to highest level ever recorded, says Statistics Canada. Highest level ever recorded. Why? Interest rates. Lower income households are more likely to have a limited capacity to take advantage of higher returns, as on average they have fewer resources available for savings and investment. While the top 20% of income earners saw the largest increase in a share of their disposable income, driven largely by investment gains, which the statistics agency attributed to higher interest rates. So I find that kind of remarkable myself. Despite all of these measures aimed at improving the quality of life for Canadians introduced by the Liberals over these past many, many years, it seems that in the end, if you're well off and if you have investments that earn you interest, you're okay. But if you don't, you're not okay. And these higher interest rates are really making it harder to make ends meet. Inequality. Despite all of these government programs, the worst it has ever been since Statistics Canada started keeping track of this 25 years ago. That is pretty incredible. Another talk back tomorrow. More topics and more of your phone calls. The latest breaking news is coming up next. This is News Radio.